All right, guys. Welcome, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started here. I want to welcome everyone to the regularly scheduled City Council meeting for the governing body of Spring Hill, Kansas on Thursday, August 10th. If you guys are able to stand with me, Pastor Logan will be doing the invocation today. Or tonight, I guess.
Father, we do love you, and we praise you for your goodness that you are to us, just the blessings you pour out upon us as a people in this community. Lord, as we come together now, we come together to make important decisions moving forward. We ask for discernment, we ask for wisdom, we ask for your blessing as we seek to glorify you here in the city and through the business that goes on. Lord, I just ask that you would go before us now, that you would utilize these to draw people together rather than to divide, bring us in unity that we might be able to look to the welfare of the citizens here in the city. And so, Lord, be glorified in all that we do. Bless this time now. In your name I pray.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, welcome back, and will you please take the roll?
Mrs. Roth? Here. Mr. Peel? Mr. Young?
Here.
Mrs. North? Mr. Van Houten?
Here.
Mayor, we do have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any questions or comments on that? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. Next item on the agenda is citizen participation. That's a time where citizens can come in and talk about just about anything they want to talk about. We just ask that you state your name and your address when you stepped up to the microphone. And we do have a list, and the first person on the list is Mr. Bill Peterman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Bill Peterman, 19431 West 200th Street. You guys have a blood drive here every month or two at the, Civic Center? And we've done real good for a small town of Spring Hill. We have usually somewhere between 51 and 54 people that donate blood. This last time, a week and a half ago, we only had 31 people donate, so I thought I'd mention that. I'd like to see more people there. If you guys can get away, it was hot this last time, so it was tough, but, and if you got friends, we've got two little girls on the sheet when they do this that have fought cancer. Cancer is a terrible thing for kids, and blood's what they need, so I'd like to have everybody think about that if they would. And my other thing is, I would like to bring up about the subdivisions going in. Some of these developers, and I don't want to push too hard, I don't want to run them away, but it's hard for me to understand when we have laws that say citizens cannot have grass that grows, what, is it 8 inches, 10 inches on the ordinance? 8 inches? And they've got 4 and 5 foot weeds growing in their subdivisions for acres. And they wait to hear from the city before they do anything. Silk fences, I know, Pat, you've had to go out numerous times and tell them, hey, you don't have silk fences up, you gotta comply with the rules. Is there some way that you guys can come up with an ordinance that says if you don't wanna obey our ordinances, then we're just gonna take an extra month when you come in and want to get a permit to finish building? You know, you gotta hit them in the pocketbook. I don't wanna hit them so hard that they leave, but I wanna hit them hard enough that they comply. You know, the old saying, it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. That's wrong. That's the way we're starting to go, lean to in the United States right now, everywhere. Let's do the right thing. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you. That's the only person we had on the list, but if there's anyone else in the audience that would like to step up and say anything, now would be your time. If not, we'll go ahead and move on and close citizen participation at this time. Next, we'll move on to consent agenda. These are items that the staff considers to kind of be routine maintenance. If there's any questions or comments on that from any of the governing body. If not, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. Next, we'll move on to formal council action, and the first item on the agenda is consider approval of OpenGov to provide services for community development to the city and authorization for Mayor Joe Berkey to execute contract documents, and Mrs. Dunn or Mr. Long. Mrs. Long's. I thought it was some new person coming in. My bad.
Good evening. On the phone, we have Jess O'Shea with OpenGov to help answer any questions that Rhonda and myself won't be able to.
Sends up a weird format.
Yeah, I didn't. Exactly.
This me?
Okay, that's better. Okay, so tonight, we are going to ask, we're proposing the use of OpenGov for our building permitting, zoning, and code enforcement. Currently, we are using, InterGov. It's outdated, it doesn't do, what we need it to do. We have to do a lot of entering manually, a lot of creating documents manually, so it's very time consuming. Our online portal has issues after issues, so it's not user friendly for our applicants. It just makes me end up having to do entering their permits for them. So it's just creating a large amount of work for our staff. Why OpenGov? It's modern. It has everything we need. Not only that, with you guys just approving for finance to use it, that's going to help integrate both departments. We have unlimited user licenses. Currently, right now, we don't. I think we have 5 licenses that we pay for, and when you're trying to cross-train, you can't because you don't have any extra licenses for them to cross-train on. So they have about a little over 2,000, I believe, government entities that they're working with, one of them being Prairie Village. We did contact the building department with them and asked them how they liked it. I think that they started in 2022, early part of 2022 using it. They thought it was great. They really like it. They said it's definitely a plus when you have other departments using OpenGov as well.
Hey, can I ask you a question real
Yeah.
quick? Didn't we reach out to Prairie Village regarding the finance use of that, and I don't remember if they were the one that responded or not, or had positive.
No, they did. They were not one of the responders.
Okay.
I do follow their budget book really closely because I like the format.
Okay.
So it kind of all fits together, that their output is really good. Miami County was one of the primary positive feedback on the budgeting portion.
But they did get with you regarding this.
We did. We talked to one of their inspectors there and was really happy with it out in the field, and it was working great for them. Here you have some of their employees that we work with. A lot of them have combined government backgrounds. A lot of them understand what our building department would need. They come from that background, so that's very helpful in building out the permitting system. Here's just the dashboard, so it would be, the public portal, the inspections, and the online payments. That's funny looking. One of the things is the in-app collaboration. We don't really have that right now. It's hard to have, you can't send out plan reviews through our current software. You have to do it manually through email, so nothing is ever tied together. With this program, you can invite people to look at your at development applications. You have everything all together. Any comments that are made are all right there, which would be extremely helpful. And it even goes with talking with the applicants. If we have currently right now, if Mr. Burton has any notes for them, I have to send it to them via email because they can't even get on the portal to see what those notes are. And this way you can have constant conversations with them back and forth. This is what the public portal would look like. You can search in that search bar if you don't know what you're looking for. Put in a search word and it'll pop up. This is just kind of showing, and you're able to write a little description of what you would need, what would require you to get a permit, which is currently something we aren't able to do on the portal. This is just kind of the face of it when you're going through plan review. It's telling you all those are check marked, that it's gone through those stages, and that's something the applicant will be able to see. It's showing a copy of a certificate of occupancy, which currently I have to do manually. So that takes a lot of time away. But right there you can, and they'll be able to pull that off of the portal if they need it. This is just mainly for when you're out and about, when the inspector's out, it gives them his map and what he needs to do for the day. It shows schedule completed and those that have missed inspections. And this is the reporting dashboard. So right now, as you all know, I send you a monthly email showing how many new single families and all of that. With this, you'd be able to go in there and pull what permit type you'd like and see where we're currently at. And here we are with the pricing. So they are saying 252 hours to implement. So that one-time fee of $49,140, and then for the next 2 years, we'd be paying about $27,000. And then I believe after that third year, we would redo the contract. They show the discounts that they have given to us. And that's it, if you have any questions.
I assume obviously this will speed up the process for the customers when they're trying to get permits and developers and builders. It'll speed that up a lot, so it'll save you guys time, so they'll be able to get their permits a lot faster and get the stuff they want done
Yep.
quicker as well.
Yes.
I want to add on to Amy's presentation, just saying that the OpenGov project, implementing the new budgeting system is going really, really well. And the reason I really am behind Amy and this project is because their project management team is really unbelievable. It's the best I've ever worked with, that they set a schedule, they review the schedule, they meet with me every week. Where are we with these tasks? Are we getting those things done? And that is something when we are not heavily staffed. Community development is short 2 positions right now, I believe, 1.5, maybe 2. And to add a project like this in on top of them would be a lot of stress and a lot of extra work and probably a lot of overtime. Well, handing that off to an outside firm to implement their software and make it work right and make it work well is really, to me, a lot less expensive than if we hired an inside employee to do it, and then what do they do when they're done? We don't need to do that. OpenGov is the champion of doing that. And if I wasn't confident in what we were doing on the budgeting side, I would not be recommending that we take on another aspect of their business. They've lived up to the commitments they made to us, and it's been a really great process. I can't wait for you to get a budget book out of that system.
How much time do you think this would, on an average week, save you to have this system in place, once it's fully up and running?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I feel like my days are spent on permitting, honestly. I would probably spend 5 hours a day just on permitting, inspection, scheduling, because they're unable to do it through the portal for whatever reason.
So this isn't replacing Amy, this is,
Helping Amy.
this is freeing you up to do the things that
Yes.
were meant to be done.
So if we really look at the cost, we're looking at instead of hiring someone, we're able to use this in place, which for 27 grand a year, you're not really gonna get a good employee for that much, so.
Yeah.
The other thing I would think is, there's a cost, I'm assuming, with whatever software you're
We're
currently
using
using,
now.
and if that's not being renewed, then that would
Mhm.
offset this cost as well.
What,
I'm
what it-
assuming this is more expensive, but it's still gonna help offset it.
yeah, what is the cost of what we're using now?
I don't,
You know what, I should have looked that up.
yeah, I don't know the monthly cost. I'm sorry, I didn't
No,
think to
that's
look
fine.
that up, but we can get that to you.
But even if it's not substantial, I don't necessarily think 27,000 for basically hiring another employee, it's almost
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I think the amount of time it'll
Um,
save.
makes more sense than hiring another person.
I think we might pay 27 in benefits for one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you would. I'll also tell you that it really improves the public face of permitting, that when they can go on a website and everything they need is in one place and they don't have to call City Hall and ask 3 questions and then go back and why didn't it do this and how come I and how do I pay? And it really upgrades our image to the public.
Yeah, the user interface looks really good. I mean, to have the step by step what you need to do and it's checked off when you have it done and stuff. I think that was
Yeah.
really helpful.
A lot more
As
transparent
a
than what we
contractor
currently
myself, that would be hugely helpful and big.
And I have to, well, I have to assume that it's not gonna completely eliminate your permit work, but I would think even 20 hours a week would be a huge, even if it's 4 hours a day that we take away,
Yeah.
that would be a huge benefit to your department, so. I don't know, I kinda like all the steps, but like I said, I've only heard good things from Rhonda about the finance side, so.
As long as they're not in charge of formatting, because the formatting on that was kind of weird.
No, I don't know. It did look like that when she sent it to me. So sorry. Must have been when I changed it to PowerPoint.
It could have been.
I like all the benefits too. I like that it streamlines things more. It does the repetitive tasks automatically. Creates that seamless interaction, communication and collaboration where there's not miscommunication. That'd be.
Yeah, because right now our current app that our building inspector uses to inspect is not working. It's outdated. So he's having to go inspect, write down everything he finds, and then come back and put it all in the system here in the office, which, I mean, that's prone to error right there. A lot of errors could be made. There's just a lot of pluses with switching over.
I assume this will have a user interface for like iPad or whatever, so out on site he'll be able to.
Yep, it does, and he'll be able to schedule inspections out there. Currently, if somebody said they needed a first-time final, he couldn't do it out on his iPad. He'd have to go back to the office to do it or call me. I don't know why, but, so, I mean, yeah, he'll be able to do all that out in the field.
Nice. So that'll speed up his production a lot as well.
Yeah.
So he'll be able to get from one job to another a lot quicker. And
Yep, and if there's any changes on our end that we need to make with the workflow or even adding a new permit type, that's something that I'll be able to do. Right now, I have to wait for InterGov, and it's, a month, 2 months out, trying to wait for that.
I think that's a really important feature to talk about too, is the flexibility of it. For example, the gentleman who came up and said, you need to tag their permit over
Kinda
the
talking
grass.
about that, yeah.
Well, if we wanted to add a form that make them certify on that grass and all that, that would be impossible in our existing software, whereas that's a pretty straightforward thing to do in OpenGov, is to add a form or change a form. Right now, we just can't do that. So what happens is Amy does it in Word, and then we have all this paper, and it's a far better thing to have a flexible system to use.
sounds like a plus all the way around. Any other questions or comments?
I was gonna say, having gone through a very small, very minor renovation that required permitting and communicating with the city a couple years ago, the people were all fantastic and did their jobs very well. The process, and you're only as good as your tools, and the process and the tools were clunky and cumbersome, and took longer than what probably it had to. Again, not a people problem, not a competence problem, but just tools. The systems weren't there, so I think this will help with that, and I think that's definitely gonna present a much more professional
put together polished image to developers, you know, and
Yeah,
and
'cause-
make everybody's job easier and
Mhm.
increase production.
Yeah, because if they're having problems on their end, there's nothing I can do. I have to send them, to support, and who knows when that'll get fixed.
I think there'll be a lot less confusion on the customer's
Mhm.
side as well,
Yeah,
with where the process is at, what they need to do, everything.
And 6 weeks worth of kind of implementation seems like plenty of time to get acclimated before they kind of
Mhm.
hit the road. So should give you plenty of time, don't you think? Or is that, you think that's gonna be enough time?
I think so. I mean,
We run right on target.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now, remind me, because I'm sure we went through this when we were going through the finance portion of it, but do they offer free tutorials and training and stuff for staff? And
They do.
Things like that, I
Is
assume.
that in
Yes.
25 hours?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering if that's
Yes.
included in that.
isn't it? I think that's what's included in those hours is training as well.
Cool.
How about like new employees and stuff? Will there be staff that trains them, or will it be the open or the
Open go.
open gov?
That's exactly what your customer success manager is there for. That's their sole job, is to make sure you're successful, and that's when then you do staff that comes on board and you staff transition, so
Oh, that's nice.
they can handle all that training. And there's unlimited users, and if you users or any folks that come on board, they'll be able to know how it works.
Well, that's nice.
Sweet.
Cool.
Thank you.
No, I think it sounds like a good change.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, we got it.
If not, I entertain a motion.
I move to approve the selection of OpenGov to provide services for building development and right-of-way permitting as well as code enforcement services to the city and direct the mayor or his designee to sign the documents.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of CBIZ Master Services Agreement for administration of a flexible spending account. Mrs. Jones, you have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. So I'm here to talk about the master service agreement with CBIZ for the FSA or the flexible spending account. Thank you. I was hitting it.
Amy had the touch.
It's closer than it was. There we go. Okay, so I'm here to talk about the ways that we can aid our employees to prepare for any potential future qualified medical expenses. And there's many options that you can choose from. Currently, we have an HSA or a health savings account that employees can take advantage of if they've enrolled into a high deductible medical plan. And so for those employees that have elected a traditional or non-HSA health savings account eligible plan, we don't currently have anything in place for them to prepare for those future expenses that are coming up. And so what the city would like to do is offer a FSA or flexible spending account. And then that way employees can determine what amount they want to contribute over the course of the plan year and then be able to add up to that contribution amount with deductions from each of their paychecks. And so if we were to do this, it would obviously be a benefit to help them, and then that money would be available day one. So whatever amount that they elect to choose, they'd be available to use that amount in totality on day one. The only thing to be cognizant of is that obviously if an employee were to leave the city, any difference between what they've contributed and then what they've utilized would fall back on the city to be responsible for paying that. But per CBIZ's expertise in this area, they've noted that the majority of the instances are really where people forfeit the dollars because the FSA is a use it or lose it account. So when employees leave, they generally have more money left over that they've contributed in versus what they've used. But I obviously want to make sure that there's some transparency in knowing it, that that is a potential risk for the city if someone were to leave and they've used all the money. The most that someone can contribute over a year anyway is $3,050. And so based on our current enrollment of employees, if everyone elected to go into an FSA account, and with CBIZ's $200 annual administration fee, we're looking at a maximum of about $2,660 right now if everyone were to choose to do it. There is a minimum of $82.50 per month, so even if only 5 people elect to do it versus being charged that $5 per fee per employee eligibility, then we're gonna pay $82.50. So that $5 per month only comes in if we get at least about 17 employees that sign up. But assuming everybody, I just wanted to make sure you were aware of what that potential maximum could be based on current enrollment. So essentially right now, that's potentially all I had to talk about with the FSA. So are there any questions on that?
Seems like it would be a good recruitment and retention to be able to offer that as another plan for a flexible, especially since day one, they could use 2,000 and probably want to retain it since they would have that option to use the 2,000. My question is, can it be used for like over-the-counter medications or any kind of medical thing, or just doctor visits, or?
No, it can be used for over the counter as well. There's a full list of things that they can utilize the FSA for. And so once we start going into who's signing up and implementation, we'll send out some information on that.
One piece you might clarify, day one is on open enrollment.
Right, so day one is enrollment for when we do it. So obviously, right now, we are past our normal July 1st effective date, and so this is getting us to ability to backdate it to August 1st. So if anyone signs up right now, then yes, as of right now, it'll be whatever they elect for that, up to that maximum contribution amount. And then, you know, any new employees that would come in, but then after that, it would just be every open enrollment period.
I would just say if we're, and I like it because I think these are really nice to have for the employees. Just to make sure, I would say that we do a lot of education on it because a lot of people don't quite understand how they work. And I know early on in my career I never did them, and now I max out everything because of the tax benefits and everything with it. So as long as we're gonna make sure we really push it and try to get everybody to use it, I think it's a really good thing. It would kind of suck if we only had 5 people use it and we're paying the minimum, you know. But at the same time, I still think it's worth it for the people who will use it. It's just, I think education is really important when it comes to that.
Yeah, I think maybe we could even offer a, you know, an hour or two class on it, so somebody that, whether it's you or somebody that has a high level knowledge of it, just kind of tell everybody what it's about, so they all know.
Even if it's just a meeting on all benefits combined and spending time on that, I think would be worth it. So. But yeah, no, I think it's really the minimal cost for what you're getting. I mean, they're administrating the whole plan for $2,600 a year if you max it out. It's not. It's well worth it, I think. So.
Yeah, do it. I like it too. We my wife and I have this, so it's a good thing.
It's a pretty low entry price point, so, I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and we tried to get information from HSA Bank, who currently obviously does our HSA account, but they did not provide us a code, and they required a minimum of 25 people, so we couldn't guarantee that, which is why we went with CBIZ.
Yeah. No, this one seems very reasonable. So.
Yeah, that's very reasonable for what you're getting out of it.
And it's, from my understanding, FSAs, it has to be used by the 31st of December or on the end of your fiscal year for that account. You have to use all of it. So that's another thing that I know I lost a couple $100 one year because I didn't realize that it didn't roll over like an HSA. So
use it or lose it.
Is there a carryover feature on this one? Usually you can do up to like 500.
Well, I unfortunately didn't have don't have the details on whether or not it's gonna be a carryover with this. There was a lot of back and forth conversations between myself and CBIZ to get to this point, and that was one of the pieces. When I was looking back there, I was like, okay, that got lost in the shuffle. So that'll be part of, finalizing those details and being able to communicate all that out to the employees.
I just think as long as the employees know they can go and buy, a couple $100 worth of something over the counter to get use out of it at least. So again, it's just all education for me is when it comes to when we roll something like this out, making sure everybody understands it fully so they hopefully take advantage of it. So
So even dental or vision or any kind of medical care, they could use it towards that, right?
yeah.
Right, and like I said, there are certain limitations, and we'll make sure that everyone knows what those limitations are. So.
So it does say in the notes here that the funds do expire at the end of the plan year, and it is a use it or lose it account for employees. So unless
Right.
say there's an add-on feature,
Right, and I put that in there because I didn't have the details on whether or
Gotcha,
not was
okay.
something that's gonna carry over.
so that one's gonna have a pin in it and
Yeah.
it may come back. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, everywhere I've worked, never had any kind of rollover on FSAs. HSAs, but not.
If you can use it for all those things, though, you'd probably rack up
Yeah.
a couple thousand.
It adds up quick.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I think it's a great thing, another thing to offer the employees, and I'm definitely all for it. With that, I entertain a motion.
I move to approve the CBIZ Master Services Agreement.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. And that ends formal council action. Next, we'll move on to announcements and reports. Don't really have a whole lot other than this is the last week that the Aquatic Center is open, so I believe Sunday's the last day. So if you haven't been, or if you want to be one or two more times with your family before the season ends, this would be your week to do it. It looks like the weather's overall going to be pretty good this week. So I know my wife's going to try to get our kids out there one day. I won't steal all the Chiefs' thunder, but National Night Out was a really good success, and we made it to 3 different ones. Me and my kids, 2 of my kids, actually 3 of my kids. So they had a lot of fun. I had a couple different subdivisions that invited me and my family, and then we went to the one right down the street from us. So that was a lot of fun. Meeting with the police department and fire department, getting to see the fire trucks and police cars and everything. So that was fun. So yeah, Mrs. Roth.
Next week, school starts, so praying for all the parents and the teachers and the kids. So just be on the lookout for buses and all the kids being out and about early in the morning when you're going to work and in the afternoon and whatnot. So very exciting, busy time of year, so just be aware.
Yep, watch out for school zones, drive slow, watch out for kids, especially early on in the year, the younger kids. Kind of early on in the year, they're not quite used to riding their bike to school or something. Sometimes they don't pay attention, so I would definitely encourage all of us adults to pay attention and watch for.
And patience, lots of patience.
Yep, lots of patience. Mr. Van Houten,
No report.
Mr. Young.
I just I checked my mail before I left and I got the, from Miami County, the proposed tax increase public hearing notification. And I kind of just wanted to read off, because I showed my concerns with the levy increase that we talked about. And, I mean, it's pretty substantial. When you look at, state's not really changing much, county, and I'm in Miami County, so I know we're a little higher, but we're going up a little less than 100. For me, I feel like I have a pretty average house, appraised at $416 here, says I'll have a $500 increase. Rec commission's $25. School district is $427, $65, and $153 for a total of $1,216 over last year. And that's on a pretty average house. Again, these are all proposed or the public hearing stuff. So for me, again, this just kind of relates to we need to really think about our mill levy increase. I mean, we're technically the highest because the school district split into 3, but really we're second highest, but not by far. And feel like a lot of houses are a lot more expensive than mine here in town. So that means if I'm $1,200, they're going to be a lot more than that. So I think we can probably be a little bit more cognizant. I know there's a lot we need to do, but we also need to think about, you know, I can afford that, but if I was on fixed income, I'd be SOL. So, you know, I want to be.
I think it's important to note, because I looked at mine as well, but I think it's important to note, I did the same thing literally right before I came to
Yeah,
the meeting,
me
looking
too.
at it. And about half of my increase that I would experience is due to the increased valuation. So if I took the same rates as last year and applied them to, like I said, just my increase, about half of my increase is not because of rate hikes or changes, it's because of the valuation change.
Yeah, mine only increase. That's so yeah. If you do that, it would take $200 off, so it's still $1,000 increase.
And I'm not disagreeing
That's
with
what I'm
you.
saying. It's
Yeah.
just we have to take all of that into account. I think when we
Yes,
when we think about
absolutely.
it. So it's just when we're about half of that. That's
Yeah.
something I like to think about as we get into this budget season.
If I can, while we're on topic, I'd like to
Yeah.
address that for just a second. Those forms are dictated by the state, by statute related to revenue neutral, and there's something there I think is very misleading, is that I've only seen Lane's Johnson County form, I haven't seen the Miami County form, but it is my understanding they're meant to be the same. When you see that third group of numbers over that says what your proposed increase is, that is your increase if we went from revenue neutral to our proposed rate, not what you are currently paying to a new rate.
Yeah.
So you are never really going to pay that increase. To me, that's misleading. I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong, because the state wants it that way.
Oh, from what the revenue neutral rate would be.
Yeah, so that is not really what we're increasing taxes, or what anyone is increasing taxes. It's the calculation of if everyone was revenue neutral. And I don't believe anyone is revenue neutral on those two forms. If everyone was revenue neutral and went to their proposed rate, you would pay, you were quoting, I think, $1,200 or $1,300 more.
Yeah.
That is not what your taxes are gonna go up, because we are not at revenue neutral today. And we are making a proposed increase. You'll make that decision later, but to me, that's really misleading. And nowhere on that form does it tell you what you currently pay versus what's proposed. On the back side, maybe it tells you your current rate, and then you have to factor in, like Mrs. Roth did, you have to factor in, well, what did your value go up compared to what you paid last year, and then all that kind of thing. So they obeyed the law, but I think it is bad information, which is two different things.
And on the Johnson County form, because I was looking at mine right before I came to, but I think on the back of the Johnson County form, it gives you a few more of those details. I don't know if Miami County one does or not.
They should be they're meant to be very, very similar. I mean, so that every Kansas citizen gets the same information, that's what it's meant to be.
My husband and I were having this conversation again right before we were leaving, and he was asking about the revenue neutral rate, and I said a very similar thing to him. I said, it's really misleading, and you can't really even use that, because that's not, in my opinion, a valid data point, because your valuation is going up, we weren't revenue neutral, so again, maybe the county or the state was required to put that on there, but it's not pertinent to the way I process data, so.
Mr. Alvalo, you want to step up here and say whatever you want to say? Normally we don't do that, but we have a small audience and not a lot on the agenda.
Thank you. Rodolfo Arevalo, 19419 200th Street. I disagree with your budget direct. It is pertinent to look at the revenue neutral point, because we may not be, we weren't revenue neutral for this year, but revenue neutral means that you keep it where it is now, not where it was last year. Okay? So if you were to do revenue neutral, that tells the public how much would I pay if I was revenue neutral? Rather than, what am I gonna pay above whatever I project I'm going to be above revenue neutral? So it is a pertinent number that Chuck is talking about. Because if you didn't do revenue neutral, I'd be at revenue neutral, which would be the base. So, I mean, it's an important number. The base she gave you where supposedly a $500,000 house would be $300 more. Yeah, if you leave it at an increase,
At the current
if you
moment.
leave it if you move it back, that revenue neutral is gonna take you, the mill levy down. So if you move it down, then the gap is bigger. It's more than $300 difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think where I'm at with it is, yeah, what I paid was about $6,000 last year. With the increases that are proposed, mine would go up to 7,300. If we kept the mill levy the same, yes, I'd be at like 6,400, 6,500. So yeah, if we didn't change anything, it's about $600 increase if you include the other entities. My thing is, it's still a $1,300 increase from last year's tax bill. So yeah, that's if we stayed revenue neutral. I'm still looking side by side. I get what you're saying. Where technically, if we don't change anything and we stayed at the same mill levy, yeah, it would only be about $600. But 600 or 700, which is probably that figure you came up with.
And it's assessed value.
Yeah.
And what all of those entities are changing their mill levy. And one entity on there represented on his Johnson County bill, 49% of the increase came from one entity when you get all their
Well,
their
above,
groups together.
they're above that for me, but
Yeah, that could be.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's neither here nor there, though. I mean, the school district has been, in my opinion, I'm not gonna say anything, but for us, I know we can be, we can be better. So I'm not saying anything here or there. I'm just saying what it is, and that it's something to think about as we're going through the budget process.
Hey, Rhonda, can you do a real quick, short, high-level explanation what revenue neutral is for the people that are listening? Because I know we always talk about revenue neutral. I know all of us up here know what that is, but I know some of the public doesn't understand what revenue
You bet.
neutral is.
And it's actually correcting something the speaker said I want to point out anyway. The point of revenue neutral is that as assessed values are increasing, they want the counties and the cities and the school districts to operate on the same dollar amount. So if you took $1 million in tax revenue last year, but your assessed value goes up, they want you to lower your mill levy so you still only get $1 million. That's revenue neutral, is, hey, you won't take in any more dollars by adjusting down your rate to make sure that you stay the same. So it means that you only ever collect the same amount of dollars in a budget year. Say it again?
Right, it's based on dollars, not mills.
That's right, it's dollars, not mills.
Even harder.
The mill level is irrelevant. If you get $1 million, you always get $1 million if you're revenue neutral.
And I feel like that was my point of it's impossible to be revenue neutral when the cost of
Everything.
everything has gone up. The city can't absorb that. We can't operate on the same dollar budget that we did last year.
Right.
It's impossible.
There's basically two choices, reduce personnel or reduce services. When it comes to revenue neutral.
Right, so revenue neutral is a great thought, a great dream, but it's, in my opinion, not realistic. Now, are there other options in between revenue neutral and raising it, absolutely, and that's where we get to
Yeah, and that's
figure
where
out
we're living right
Yes.
now. Trying to figure it out.
Yep.
And I'm not saying we should be revenue neutral. I'm just saying the realistic side of it. The numbers came out, so I just wanted to throw that out there that what they were on.
Yeah.
Especially when we were the fastest growing city in 2022. We have way more people to support now with amenities and services, and how are we supposed to do that on the same budget with more people? You can't.
Well, and it's a crazy lower amount. It's like 6 mils lower to go revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
it'd be hard to do.
That's why I feel, my personal opinion, that it's not relevant, because it's not possible.
I'll also point out to you
I
that
shouldn't say it's not relevant, sorry, that was not a bad, that wasn't a good
it's
term to
not
use.
reasonable.
It's out of reach
Right.
for our situation.
I also want to point out to you that with all the revenue streams that the city takes in, our proposed budget is balanced at the same mill levy. Because there's increased value from assessed value, because our sales tax is up, because we collect more in fees and other things, we were able to balance the budget, including $5 million worth of debt for projects, plus improvements that you made in the operation over the last year. We were able to do that with the same mill levy. So we are not double whammy where the appraisers raise the value of the houses and we raise the mill levy. That is not the goal of the operating budget. That is not what we've proposed for operating the city. We have other projects and things we're gonna have to fund, which is the dilemma that you're facing.
Very good point, thank you.
Sorry,
We should've made-
caused all kinds of trouble.
Made like a discussion.
I saw it, made me think about it. I'm like, well, let's go for it.
Mrs. North.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank all those that did the luau. It was really fun, and I think that was the 9th year that Spring Hill has done that luau, and I've missed out on the other years, so I was glad I got to go, and I think everybody had a really good time, and I had the opportunity to go around and meet a lot of the people that were there, and we're drawing in people from Gardner and Hillsdale Lake that are coming to support it because it's such a fun activity, so just wanted to thank the staff for what they did on that, and just kind of a little bit on, I got to go also to the Veterans Memorial Park, and it's really beautiful. The memorials on the slabs, the pictures are really pretty, and I had one request from a bunch of children that were there, and that is they wish there was some swings there, so I don't know if that will ever be a possibility, maybe to put a swing set in there.
There's a small blurb about that on the survey for the comp plan. Would you like playground equipment and what park would you want it at?
Yeah.
So go take the survey.
I'll second that on the luau. My wife and I were out of town at youth camp with our church, so we weren't able to make the luau, but our kids went, and my sister and brother-in-law and their kids went, so they had a lot of fun. So, and it sounds like from all the staff that I talked to about it, that it was very well attended and weather was really good, so it sounded like it was a really good event. So. Mr. Massey.
On the public works front, we're making progress on the chip and seal project this year. We'll also be doing some mill and overlay down on Victory and just went blank. Down south by Blackhawk, Harrison Street. So over the next probably 30, 60 days, they'll be wrapping that up. Some of it may drag into October, but it's making some good progress. And they've changed the type of rock they're putting down this year. It's actually the same type that Overland Park puts down. So it'll be a little bit different tint than the granite that they put down in the past, but it's supposed to create a better bond with the emulsion that they put the oil underneath of the rock.
Is that the red?
Mm-hmm.
tint?
It is, it's kind of a brownish red tint.
Instead of the black. Okay. Mr. Burton. Chief Ensign.
So, yeah, National Night Out was a good success. We had 9 neighborhoods, which is nearly double what we had last year. Probably close to about 300 people participated in the events. I made it to, I think, 7 of the 9. But it was a nice night. It was hot, as it always is, but I think everybody who participated had a fun time. We still have the giving tree for school supplies. I think tomorrow is going to be one of the last days to drop off any donations, and then we'll be presenting it to the Spring Hill Elementary School early next week. And we're getting ready for, well, because you mentioned school, I don't know, but we are posting, or not we, but the company is looking for school crossing guards. So that is $18 an hour and $36 for the day. So if you know anybody who wants to work a crossing, reach out to the company there. And then our next event is going to be National Faith in Blue on October 7th, and we're just now starting to prepare what that will be like. But I think we're going to look at something here inside the Civic Center. So stand by for that.
Sounds good. Thank you. Mr. Lowe?
No report.
Madam Clerk?
No report.
Mrs. Dunn?
No report.
Mrs. Jones?
No report.
All right, with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. Have a good night, everyone. Yes.